Like, you have to know how to be your spouse's cheerleader without the jealousy, comparison, competition, and know that when one person is winning, you're both winning.
Well, hopefully, I've been a cheerleader to you in some way.
We'll be sharing in this episode 5 things you should learn in the first 5 years of marriage.
Five.
Is it really five? Well, 5 things each. That
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
We recognized that we were moving from the first stage of marriage into the second stage.
Second stage.
Apparently, the first stage of marriage is like 0 to 5 years, and that's just like the getting together, the transitions, all of that. And then the second stage of marriage is 6 to 26 years,
Something like that.
where it's usually defined with active parenting. Or people who don't have kids, it's, I guess, getting into routines, sort of thing. And then the third stage is the latter years, where it's kids have gone and now
Trying to figure out what to do with your life again.
and how to come back together. So that's one study. There are other studies that have like 7 stages,
Yeah.
but those 7 stages kind of do come into
Group
those
back into
three
the three.
stages.
Yeah.
So yeah, we recognize like, oh, we're done with the first stage. What have we learned? And so we wrote 5 things each.
Well, you wanna start?
First thing that I wrote was you have to know when to be a cheerleader.
Ooh,
Know when to
that's
be a
good thing.
cheerleader for your spouse without what was it? Without jealousy, comparison, and competition. We've been blessed in that we worked in the same area and the same kind of thing for most of our marriage. But when we started having kids, I definitely could see, just because he was able to keep going, keep doing whatever he was doing, and I had to pull back a bit, where those feelings crept in a little. Um, and so I can imagine for like people who do different types of jobs, have different visions,
Yeah.
like they must have that sort of friction a lot in their marriage. So that's something I've recognized. Like, you have to know how to be your spouse's cheerleader without the jealousy, comparison, competition, and know that when one person is winning, you're both winning.
Well, hopefully, I've been a cheerleader to you in some ways.
You have, and I guess I feel like I'm not moving because it's not in the area that I want to be moving in. But you have been a cheerleader to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. One thing I would say is understand the person's personality. Why do I say that is because when we just got married, or in the first maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, I used to invite a bunch of friends over to the house. Like,
My word.
when I was single, that was just something I enjoyed doing,
Yeah.
having social gatherings, hosting different events, stuff like that. So I invite a lot of people to my apartment, and
That's when you were
just
single.
yeah,
Yeah.
single time. But I think I brought that into marriage, not realizing that that's not necessarily something Gabrielle would enjoy the same
Right.
way as I did, and I don't think I necessarily checked in with you all the time, like plan ahead.
Yeah, it
how
was
we
kind of more like last minute, like, honey, these people are coming
Yeah.
over. Yeah.
So I think that was not having such a good impact after a while.
And then also the thing of having to always go where you're going. In the early years, if you don't understand what support means, then you think it's always doing the same thing together, or
Yeah.
always being in the same places together, and that sort of thing. When really it's just extra pressure. Like, that is just too much to bear.
Yeah.
And over time we learned that, or I think you were okay with understanding that if you were doing your thing, I didn't have to always be there.
But
And if
that-
I
that
was
takes-
doing my thing, I didn't need you to always be there.
Yeah, I think that took some time though, because I felt like you needed to be there, in the sense that we're married. Why should people not see both of us together?
Right, right. And so, like, now we've learned and we've grown past that thing, and
Yeah.
I think we're mature in that area.
Yes.
That now some people see him and they don't see me, or they see me and they don't see him, and they're like, oh, you guys are married? We
Yeah.
we didn't even know. So yeah, you just have to know what works for you in that area.
One thing I would say is, for the guys, share your thoughts. Um, can be hard to do sometimes, but I think if women understand how men, or at least some of us, go about connecting, then
Mhm.
it might be a little bit easier. I
Yeah.
think do it over an activity. Like, I
Mhm.
think women kind of just want to sit down and talk, and for a guy, that's not always very easy. Um, what would you say for us is that,
Yeah.
like, because I think activities, like if the guy likes jogging, or
Probably you
you
can
know,
jog and talk, but yeah.
you can jog
At
and
the end
talk.
of the jog,
Yeah,
maybe.
like,
I couldn't jog and
or
talk.
hiking, or
Yeah, a hike I could
just
talk.
find, or maybe he's building something and you just
Mhm.
join him, not because you necessarily want to build it, but you want to show some support and you want to have a conversation.
Mhm.
But don't rush it. Like,
Oh yes, so
take
we
your
learned
time.
this in Love and Respect,
Yeah.
that study, and it was saying that like women come alongside your husbands, work with them, alongside them, or do something with them that they like, and they'll talk. But you have to be the one to wait for them to talk.
Yep.
You can't be like, okay, we're on a hike, let's talk. And you start the talking. It's we're on a hike. If he just wants to hike in silence, so the entire thing, do it in silence. And so that was definitely a tip, a learning point, and
Mm-hmm.
it's good because when you wait for you to initiate the conversation, you're ready to talk about the thing that you started talking about.
So true.
Yeah. Um, Another one I had was give some things time
Hmm.
because eventually your spouse will see it from your perspective. I think in the beginning, when you get together and you're married, um, even though you think you see some things from the same perspective, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And when you try to get that person to see it from your perspective, they're seeing the complete opposite. Like,
Oh my
he used
goodness.
to definitely think that I was controlling, which you kind of still think that.
Maybe in a small way.
And I am not. But yeah, so you force them to see things from your perspective, and so the wrong thing comes out because
Yeah.
now I'm judging you, you're judging me, when really we just have different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
And so that takes time because you're meshing together personality differences and everything else. So give things time.
It's just
Eventually they'll see
it's
things
just
from your
important.
perspective.
I think it's important to just be gracious because both of you are still merging,
Mm-hmm.
and not to be too harsh
Yeah.
on yourself or on each other.
Yeah.
I think my final piece is travel together, whether locally or internationally.
Mm-hmm.
I think traveling does something. It brings out a side of you that maybe, you know, went dormant, or it just shows maybe a more adventurous or fun part of you, or
Yeah.
like a more protective side of you, or
Mm-hmm.
it just
You'll
awakens
definitely see the
other
differences.
parts of
Like,
you. Yeah.
you'll find out if you're a Yelp couple, like who's the Yelp,
Yeah.
who doesn't, who does, Uber, who's like let's walk, who does, you'll find
Or
the
like who
differences.
can think on their feet, like I
Yeah.
love, like when I'm in certain countries. I remember when I was in Egypt and when I was in like Africa.
Right. Yeah.
Bargaining is a huge thing. Like
And absolutely.
you have to know how to bargain.
I was gonna say, and in those first 5 years, if you do wait for a while before you have kids, we had kids in our third year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do wait for a while before you have kids, it's the best time to do that traveling,
It is.
because then you get to spend those time. It's almost like you're building up this treasure trove of
Yep.
memories of just the two of you before you add somebody else into that marriage and into the family.
Was there any experience for you when we traveled? Like anything that's stuck out?
Um, Fiji for
Okay.
sure. When you definitely, so we got there. I was studying. I went to sleep. I was tired. We traveled for a while,
Hmm.
but you stayed up and you unpacked everything. Like, you had everything laid out and ready, and I would have just like taken my time and unpacked my things day by day. Like, oh, I need this today, I'll take it out of my suitcase, or I'm trying to find this thing, I'll take it out. But you have everything unpacked, and so it's kind of different because you're more spontaneous
Mhm.
and I'm more planned.
Mm-hmm.
But in that sense, I guess by laying things out, it helps you to be spontaneous, and by being planned, I guess I just take my time to do things. So I guess I learned that about you in traveling. Was that what you were asking?
Well, yeah, I guess just an example of something that stuck out to you. That's not a bad one.
No, yeah.
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 But yeah, hopefully these were helpful for you, and we have a worksheet or
A
a
PDF, yeah.
There's
So
a
yeah, we
PDF.
didn't say all of them, but we'll put them in a PDF
Yeah.
and have it on our website, and it will be in the description notes, or if you're on Instagram, you can just click on the post and find it.
Yeah, I think you'll find it that
Yeah.
way too. Well, take it easy, guys. See you next time.
See you next time.